Hey everyone, I'm NornQueenAlexis and welcome back to the channel. Today we are continuing our Beginner's Guide series, and today we are taking a look at the Craftworld Eldar. I will be going in slight detail on their lore, as well as some of their basic tactics, and what to buy for under $100 for a brand new player. Now, before I get into this, I want you guys to know that I do actually have a merch store. Look, it's on Teespring. There's not much on there just yet. We are putting a lot more on there very soon. And you guys can always support me on Patreon, where you get a lot of exclusive videos. Now, with those useless plugs out of the way, let's talk about the Craftworld. So, going over the lore. The Eldar, they have some lore, okay? The Eldar were one of the original races created by the Old Ones, essentially a intergalactic alien species that half existed in reality and in the warp at the same time. At the time, the warp was known as the Realm of Souls. I'm going to be getting into the War in Heaven. I'm going to skim over it because I've had numerous rants. If you're a part of my Discord, you know that I've had numerous rants about the War in Heaven and how it doesn't make any sense. Anyway, we're just going to skim over that. The Old Ones created a bunch of different races while fighting against the Necron tier, which would later become the Necrons. The Necrons are a robotic space skeleton race of evil people. Easiest lore I can do for it. They were fighting for seemingly no apparent reason because their gods tricked them into fighting the Old Ones for reasons unknown nor ever really talked about. There probably was a reason, but at this point I've read The War in Heaven at least 60,000 times, and I still can't find a reason for the beginning of the war. When the Old Ones started to lose the battle to the Necron tier, now the Necrons, they decided to start spitting out races as quickly as possible to try to stop the Necrons. They created the, oh my gods, what are their names? The Jakaro, the Korks, later Orks, and the Eldari, Asinari at the time, because they were one unified species. Before they split up into the Dukari, the Yunari, the Croneworlders, the Exodites, the Corsairs, and the Craftworld. Anyway, at this time, the Eldari were a very gifted race in the use of psychic powers, which prevented the Necron tier from taking over. Eventually, the Necron tier became the Necrons and fought up against them and actually did start besting them. So the Old Ones created the Orks to protect the Eldar, and the Orks at this time were hyper advanced. During this whole cluster, let's just go with that, the Eldari had a pantheon of gods and deities which protected them. Some tried to kill them. The god of war, which is Cain, tried to kill them. Isha tried to prevent that. Isha being the goddess of love and fertility. Khorne being the god of bloody war. Kind of similar to a certain other chaos god that we may know, but I digress. Anyway, the Eldar did eventually prevail in the War in Heaven, sort of, depending on how you read it. The Necrons fought their own gods, went into civil war, decided to go to sleep. The Eldari, from that point on, decided to go straight into hedonism, as one does when there's nothing left to do in the galaxy, except explore the most devious portions of humanity has to offer. And so they created a god of hedonism. The birth of Slaanesh killed most of the Eldari, the Asinari species. The Craftworld Eldar were on the very far ends of the galaxy at this time, in gargantuan massive ships known as Craftworlds. These ships are, depending on how it's written, either the size of a mainline battleship to the point of being as big as a planet. There's no real in between. They're just kind of all over the place. Anyway, the Craftworlders decided to separate themselves from the rest of the Asinari, and in doing so created the Path system. They essentially went down the weeb road of Bushido. They went the way of the samurai. And yes, they are a very weeby army. They shoot shurikens. They have banners, and they take after Bushido, samurais and ninjas of Japanese history for some reason. Don't really know. Anyway, these types of Eldar focused on their paths and dulled their emotions to the point of trying to have almost no emotion at all. Though being a very emotionally driven species, they can never hide that truly. Slaanesh, the goddess of excess, trying to keep that PG, good luck. Slaanesh, the goddess of excess, quests after their souls, slowly ripping them from their body all throughout their life. The Eldar created soul stones to prevent Slaanesh from actually stealing their souls and devouring it for all eternity. This is one of the major differences between Craftworlds, Drukhari, and all of the others, the Inari. They stick to their path system, and all the way up until current day, they actively fight against the Imperium for seemingly no apparent reason, as sometimes somebody dies and they're like, oh, we'll sacrifice 1 million humans to fight you for some reason. The Eldar are kind of just giant jerks. Usually the writers try to write off their intentions as the mysterious ways of Eldar, though that kind of comes off as bad writing in my opinion. But I digress. Same with their movements. They are humanoid in all ways, shape, and form, would fit perfectly into human society, but the writers state that they move gracefully, unnaturally gracefully, and thus they don't fit into human society, yet Ogryn do. So does Shaharadin, which are literal shark people. But elves? Nah, those are Xenos and dangerous. In older lore, the Eldari and humans could breed together, though this hasn't been referenced for quite some time and is more than likely not canon anymore. Though GW does not have a canon, it has a loose-fitting canon of legends. I'm not kidding. That is stated by most of the writers. Anyway, moving on from there. The Craftworld Eldar specialize in mid-range to long-range combat with very, very little close range, though their close-range combat is actually surprisingly devastating. Don't get Howling Banshees. They're not. They're not good. I'm just going to state that right now. Even with their new rules and everything, I still don't see them as a must-take for the army. I actually see them as more of a hindrance than anything else to the rest of the strategy of the army. Their main tactic is shoot, then jump away and hide. Battle focus, fleet of foot, things of that nature. They pop out really quickly, barrage an enemy, and then hide. Hit and run tactics are very, very are a specialty of the Eldari, well, the Craftworld Eldari, and you have to know when to hit things and when to avoid things. Keep in mind that a lot of their stuff is very squishy and will die incredibly easy if out of position. The army is an upper tier army in terms of learning. You need to know what you're doing. You need to know target priority immediately before buying this army. You need to know the game prior to buying this army. So if you are brand new and you bought this army, look up tactics videos. If you have any other questions about Eldari tactics and need some help with that and list building, you can contact me on Facebook, Twitter, and Discord. Discord is the easiest for me. If you are part of my Discord, you can come in and check out a bunch of different things. You can hang out with some cool people, and a lot more people will have more experience than I do with the Eldari. That being said, what should we get for $100 starting fee? I'm going to say this right now, and this is probably going to hurt some people. Don't get any of the starter boxes. They are not worth it. The Blood of the Phoenix is a neat box, but comes with a Viper, and all of its contents are kind of mediocre, except for the Drukhari portion, where the Hellions are pretty much the worst thing in there. The Drukhari portion is actually surprisingly good, but the Eldari portion is poor. Jinzar is cool, but overall mediocre when it comes to Eldari characters, because she doesn't complement the rest of the Eldar army. You have to build a focus around her, and because of that, you really hinder yourself. Now, if you want to build a Howling Banshee army, by all means do that, and I'm not saying she is a bad character. She's actually really good. It's just you have to build your army around your characters. So keep that in mind as we go forward. If you want to build a Wraith Construct Army, you can start with the Start Collecting. It's pretty decent for that, but overall I would say pass on it. For $100, I would highly suggest, well, unfortunately, you need to buy a Farseer. There is no way around this. And it's kind of a shame, in my opinion, because a lot of the other armies, their simple stuff can just be rehashed and reused. Also, the page is not loading, which is terrific. Okay, let's just go ahead and reload the page because it is not working. Good job, Games Workshop. I'm trying to advertise for you, and you are doing this. Give it a second. My computer is being relatively slow for no apparent reason. Unknown. Anyway, moving on. Let's go to View All. So one of the biggest things you might see is the Wraithenite. Don't buy it. It's not that useful. You might also see Vipers. Vipers look cool. They're essentially land speeders, act just the same as land speeders, and are just as useless as land speeders. Bikes, on the other hand, are extremely useful. My opinion, if you want to do Eldari, Way of the Samhan is the best way. Samhan is very close to me and is currently my favorite style of playing Eldari, though I haven't played them just yet. I do intend to buy an Eldari army, and that's why I learned a good deal about these. If you are going to do Wind Riders and you want some cool stuff for them, I highly suggest going third party for their bits. Puppets War actually makes some pretty good bits for them for a lance. Just look for any third-party bit site that has a lance arm for an elf, and you can make shining spears out of this box relatively cheap. Now going down, you're going to see all the different aspect warriors, so we'll just go through them really quickly. Long range, best unit in the entire codex. Garbage. Garbage. Plains, excellent choice. Garbage. Plane, excellent choice. Plane, excellent choice. Wraithblades, terrible. The Night Spinner, decent. The Falcon actually puts out quite a bit of firepower and is pretty decent. Fire Prism, always good if you have 3 of them. Also, it's a pretty cheap tank for what it does. The Wave Serpent, always good. Shining Spears are $50. Wait, what? They're the same price as Wind Riders? Why would you not buy Shining Spears then? Wow, okay, I was wrong about that. Buy Shining Spears. Then just get some extra arms for holding stuff. But if you are going to spend $100, where would I even start on this? Holy cow, there are so many places. A Warlock on a Shining Spear is really good. You can easily get the Farseer on a jet bike. The jet bike is actually really good because it ups their toughness. So I would start there with a $33 investment of a Farseer on that, or I would actually go with Shining Spears and just say one is a Farseer, because nobody is going to argue with you on it. Literally no one. I'm not kidding. Nobody knows the difference. Just give one a spear, find a fantasy player to get a spear from, or just buy one of your own. You can even do a Wraith Blade as well, and I think they actually come with swords on some of them for bits. I could be wrong about that. But I would highly suggest for $100, you start off with 2 Ranger squads, so it's 80, and you're going to go above 100. Unfortunately, there's no other way around this. But if you were to do 2 squads of Rangers and 1 probably Farseer, Uriel is okay. Night Spinner is okay. Fugan is really good, though he's a very old model and looks it. This one is terrible. Just run him as a regular Phoenix Lord. Mungden Ra is actually pretty decent. Ashraman is okay. He's not that good. What would I get for an HQ? Like, if I were to do an HQ, which one would I get? Probably the Farseer and Warlock box, because $33 gets you a Farseer and 3 Warlocks on foot, which you can run as dual Farseers, because nobody knows the difference between Farseers and Warlocks anymore. No opponent will actually call you out on this if you just say that these are Warlocks and these are Farseers. Just use the one with the spear as a Farseer. But I guess I would do the Skyrunner. Always a difficult choice with the Eldar because they're very expensive. And one of the things that you have to look out for is all of their line is Finecast. If you don't know what Finecast is, you should probably look it up. It's not GW's best work, let's just say. You're going to need some green stuff to actually fix up a bunch of the bubbles in the models themselves, and a lot of it is going to look a little bit and you're going to need a heat gun to fix a lot of it, especially the weapons. So keep that in mind while going into this army. But I would do 2 squads of Rangers, if not 3. Do 2 squads of Rangers and get yourself an HQ. The HQs average about $30. Eldred Uthran is actually a ridiculously good HQ as he works for 2 armies. He works for the Eldari Craftworld as well as Ynnari. Can also take him. So, I would suggest Eldred Uthran, but if you really wanted to get more for your money, I would suggest the Farseer Warlock box. It's $33 for 4 models. It's pretty decent. Or you can go ahead and spend the $50 and get the Shining Spears. Unfortunately, this one was not under $100, so I do apologize, but it does give you an HQ and 2 troops, which is always what you want to start an army. You want to build a patrol, then go up to a battalion. Make sure that you focus on your core troops first, then explore the rest of the army and pick a theme to go with. Personally, I like Fire Dragon Rush. It is one of my go-to favorites, as well as Shining Spear Rush. Shining Spears are an excellent addition to an army and an extremely fast close range as well as long range as well as mid-range capability of them is excellent. The Lance makes it so that they're a good close combat unit without the need of a transport, without the weakness of the Howling Banshees, and their jet bikes so that they can get all the way up on top floors to escape the enemy. So, I hope this video was helpful. If it was, please check all the links in the description down below. There you can follow me on all social media, including Facebook, YouTube, you're already here, Twitch, Twitter, as well as my Discord. If you are super awesome, you can check out my Patreon. Patreon has some exclusive videos, more to come, as well as giving you access to my Discord, which gives you a explicit role of Patreon, which allows you to see certain streams that aren't played on the regular channel, as well as being entered into gaming tournaments that we host every now and then. As always, I'm NornQueenAlexis. I love you guys. Bye.